You book the rules, and we will break them. Welcome to Book It a Wrestling podcast for the fans, by the fans, where we book, rebook, and revisit your favorite wrestling storylines. I'm your commissioner, LilxFudge, and today we are here with your GMs, Damone D Money,
Oreo,
the bad guy Kenny.
Oh yeah,
that was soft. He wants to be playing NCAA right now, and Hi-Fi Mike for his 13th return.
I said maybe John's going to be the one to save me. And after a while, he's my Wonderwall.
I will not be saving you because we are in the middle of BookItVerse, and I have a few things to get to, but it is my second show this week. But first and foremost, before we get to all that, we're in the midst of our second round. We're a little discombobulated on our math and getting you caught up with scores. So we're going to tell you where we stand with round 2 right now. That being PWR's Shipwrecked. That's being the BOA show, most recent one. I forget the name of it because I'm a dingus. What was it?
Oh, that is Ground Zero.
Ground Zero.
And
then RCW's weekly show, Massacre?
Massacre.
Yeah, it's
Massacre.
Monday Night Massacre.
And then, so we're going to recap those 3 shows from round 2. Because it is myself and Primetime Travie T left to present in round 2. And then after Primetime Travie T is done, we are going to recap round 1 and 2. We got a little discombobulated. We're putting it back together. And we are glad to see Sean Paul back in the comments, one of our regulars, is safe during the hurricane down in South Texas. And he's back in our comments where he belongs. So, bad guy, will you tell us where we're at with round 2 thus far?
Okay, so let me see. So just to let you all know, Travis gave Damone's show a 3.82, but in general,
and that's with a 0.5 in there.
There was 2.5.
His total show was a 3.86. So
what did he give the match that I gave a 0?
He gave it a 0.5.
He had a 0.5.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Mike,
I knew going in he was gonna hate it.
We all agree.
It was a wild card because you know what? You never know how he's feeling that day.
No, I knew he hates commercials. I knew when it was the commercial he was gonna hate it. Any commercial you ever do, he's gonna hate. It could be a commercial for himself.
Yeah, he did. You're right. He did hate my whole interview segment, which is basically a big commercial.
Yeah, he hates any sort of commercials. He said he pays for YouTube Premium for a reason. You don't want any commercial.
Paying for YouTube Premium.
He's gonna hate my shit.
I refuse. I'll wait for that skip ad button to come.
Oh,
he's gonna hate when BookItVerse 5 when I do a whole infomercial episode.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
That's actually a great idea. I need to write that down. I'm telling you, BookItVerse 5 is gonna be fucking wild.
That actually could work. You could do that.
Yeah, I might do it actually, or I might add it into the one I have. So dibs. If anybody uses it, I'm giving you 0.5 automatically.
All right, bad guy.
Mike gave no, my fault. Travis gave Mike a 3.5 on his last one. So his last show had a 3.89. Then my show got a 4.03. Travis's show got a 4.19. And yeah, that's everybody.
And then we were circling back around to my show today. So last time I presented PPW Genesis, and we are fast forwarding 3 months later. So I'm doing Big Fours, and we are doing PPW Souled Out. So, without any further ado, let us begin.
You said doo-doo.
So the show begins with the pyro bursting in the background as The Miz says on commentary, "Welcome to the most see wrestling on the planet. Welcome to PPW Souled Out, and we are sold out live in Columbus, Ohio. I am The Miz, unfortunately here with my broadcast partner, Joey Styles. Joey Styles takes over and says, per usual, this event is starting off with a bang as Shawn Michaels is putting us all through the ringer before his in-ring debut as the video package for our first build begins. So 3 months ago, following Genesis, vignettes began airing on Thursday Night Drive. The first showed nothing but a heart saying PPW's heartbreak soon. The second, the show footage cut out with color blocks, and then the words showstopper were shown faintly through the static. The third one, the show closes with a black screen and a small text of headliners at the bottom right. On the fourth show of that month, 3 months ago, a vague vignette has smooth jazz playing through the static as the picture clears up to show a highlight package of the Sweet Chin music saying, Shawn Michaels comes to PPW next week. So this is basically how my builds are going to go is like, I'm going to summarize 1 month, the second month, and then go into more detail for the third month. So after a month of vignettes, Drive opens with Shawn Michaels music and the crowd going crazy. But after he's announced and the song plays all the way through, it stops. Michaels still hasn't come out. PPW General Manager Dan the Dad has to come out saying, I regret to inform the PPW fans that Shawn Michaels will not be appearing tonight as he has requested to renegotiate his contract. The next week, he tells the fans, Shawn Michaels tells the fans via screen, first of all, I wanted to avoid that hellhole in Canada, but most importantly, the debut ceremony that Don the Dad or whatever his name is planned, not good enough. Nuh-uh. Doesn't work for old HB Shizzle. In 2 weeks' time, I will be getting paid the money I deserve to have the celebration fitting for the greatest wrestler of all time. He smugly chews his gum and smiles in the camera, and he says, there, I will announce my plan to save PPW. So 2 more weeks pass, and the current month leading up to Sold Out begins with the first episode of Drive promoting Shawn Michaels addressing the fans. This ends up being the closing segment of the show with pyro, heart lights, and fog filling the arena before his music even starts. After his name gets called, the music plays, and Shawn Michaels comes out to cheers despite his antics. After all the dancing and pageantry, he gets in the ring and speaks. Now, this is how you treat a real draw. So why did Steam pop up? Excuse me. For 2 months, the world has waited, and now the showstopper has arrived and become the show savior for PPW. Just getting to look at me and hear my music already makes this show more worth watching than it was with the inferior talent running things before. And if I wrestled on free TV, every screen in America will be locked in for as long as I toyed with my opponent. Now, you're probably wondering when the headliner, the GOAT, will bless you with a wrestling match. That will be at the next pay-per-view Sold Out, live in Columbus, Ohio. However, I'm not just going to let some idiot come out here, stare me down, and challenge me to a match. No. I'm going to be in Dean the Dad's office. He says his name wrong every time. I'm going to be in Dean the Dad's office watching the next 3 weeks of Drive, and the talent I like the best will face off in a Heartbreak Hotel Battle Royal to open Sold Out and face me immediately following. Look how generous I've gotten, working in opening matches. Don't expect too much more of that. And then he dances to his own music and leaves the arena. Throughout the next 3 weeks, there are cutaways to Shawn sitting in Dan the Dad's chair, moving his desk belongings around, having catering brought to him, girls visiting, and making comments on matches. The first week he does this, he makes notable comments on a Triple H versus Lance Hoyt match, saying, this Lance kid's really got potential to be my bodyguard. I don't know if this Triple H guy really has the tools to hang with me, though. Triple H immediately hits a crotch chop toward the screen and pedigrees Hoyt to win the match. Michaels also is seen making comments on the Jack Perry versus John Morrison match later that night.
You're trying to make me use my zero, aren't you?
Let him finish. Triple H won the match. He also comments on the Jack Perry versus John Morrison match later that night. He says, see, these guys can wrestle, but I just don't know if they have the charisma to compete with Shawn Michaels. And after Perry wins the match with a rope leverage roll-up, he gets a mic and says, Shawn, I mean this with all my heart when I say your opinion doesn't mean shit to me because I surpassed you years ago. You face me and you'll be losing your smile literally this time. I can't capture that edgy Jack Perry voice. Sorry. So the next week, Sean is sitting in the office and Eugene walks in saying, Shawn Michaels, you're my hero, and I want to be your first match in PPW, please. Michaels cuts him off saying, you know what, Eugene? I think you got real potential. Consider yourself an entrant in the Heartbreak Hotel Battle Royal out of the kindness of my heart. Eugene jumps up and down, clapping, and Sean says, now, Eugene, me and these 4 ladies here need a little bit of privacy. So hopefully, the next time I see you is staring across the ring from me at Souled Out. Eugene leaves, and Sean starts kissing on one of the girls, but Triple H then busts in saying, Sean, this is ridiculous politicking, even by my standards. Just know that, Sean cuts him off with a hand in the face before he says, before you start your grunting, Hunter, I got your back, friend. I put you in the Battle Royal already. And if you win, you can have my back by laying on yours. Triple H grabs Sean by the collar, and Sean yells, security, security. And Triple H is immediately removed from the room. That night, Kane, and this is like 2001, like jacked, masked Kane, is facing Bull Buchanan. After squashing him quickly, he drags Buchanan to the entrance ramp, chokeslams him off through the electrical wires, and then he points to the screen where Sean is seen watching, going, ooh, I'm frightened, like doing that little like mocking facial expression. On the go-home show, Sean is watching a short comedic match between Colt Cabana and bum-ass Baron Corbin. Cabana makes Corbin lose by countout when Corbin does that run around the turnbuckle spot he does where he'll slide out from underneath and go back in on the other side. When Corbin does that spot, he slips, but then the camera shows that Colt Cabana had dropped a banana peel in that very spot. Sean yells, genius! This is the type of ring awareness that I need an opponent. He spells out C-O-L-T, Cabana, writing it down in his journal. He says, even I'm not evil enough to feel bad for Corbin. I'm not evil enough to not feel bad for this guy, Corbin. And he writes down, bum-ass Baron Corbin. He says to Dan sitting in a folding chair while Sean uses his office, so I got 19 guys. I just need one more, but nobody on your show is good enough to fill this battle royal. What a travesty. I might just have to cancel on Souled Out because your roster is a little spindly. And Dan says, I got a guy. Trust me on this one thing, Sean. Promise. I will surprise you. And Sean says, you know what, Dwayne? You got it. So the camera pans out to the ring where 19 entrants fill the ring. The current people in the ring are Jack Perry, Triple H, Colt Cabana, Kevin Owens, Super Crazy, Chris Hero, Batista, Kane, Mike Awesome, Lance Hoyt, Eddie Kingston, Enzo Amore, Funaki, John Morrison, Al Snow, Eugene, Cesar Bononi, bum-ass Baron Corbin, and Oba Femi, awaiting the final entrant. The lights go black, and the name Kenny Omega pops across the screen. Joey Styles yells, oh my God! Kenny Omega is back much sooner than expected from his knee injury. And he says his health was a big concern. We didn't know if we'd see him again. He's here, and Shawn Michaels looks frightened at ringside. Miz says, I don't think Shawn Michaels, the best to ever do it, aside from me, is that concerned about an injury-prone indie darling. Give me a break, Joey. And then instead of doing like normal spots for the Battle Royal, I'm doing elimination order and how they get eliminated. So the match opens with Eugene getting a microphone saying, I'm just so happy Shawn Michaels gave me but he's stuttering through the whole promo. Jack Perry immediately kicks him in the nuts, throws him out, and flips him off. Triple H turns Jack Perry around forcefully, but Jack Perry slaps Triple H in the face and crotch chops him, and the two start brawling in the ring. The next elimination, Enzo Amore picks up the drop mic from Eugene to say, my name is Enzo Amore, and I am a certified G and a bona fide. The crowd says stud, but Enzo doesn't get to before he's sneakily thrown over the top rope by Funaki. But right after this happens, John Morrison hits a flying chuck to the back of Funaki, knocking him over the top rope as well. Bum-ass Baron Corbin tries going after Kane, getting in his face and talking a little trash, but Kane eats him with that slapping arm uppercut 3 straight times. Corbin tries to run to the corner, calling for a timeout, but Kane big boots him out of the ring. Cesar Bononi tries to run at Kane, but gets overhead tossed to the outside as well. Lance Hoyt hits a long standing suplex, holding Al Snow up in the air. Hoyt then climbs up to the top rope to hit his signature moonsault, but Kevin Owens pushes Hoyt off the top rope to the outside. Kevin Owens then goes for his moonsault on Al Snow, but Al Snow gets out of the way, climbs to the top rope for an assumed moonsault of his own, but Super Crazy then eliminates Snow the same way that Hoyt was eliminated and hits Owens with a moonsault of his own. Super Crazy and Kenny Omega have an indie exchange with arm twists, kip-ups, attempted leg sweeps, and chain wrestling that leads to a Kenny Omega reversing an arm twist into a V-trigger that he chains into a Snapdragon, then drop kicks Super Crazy out of the ring. Not forgetting about their match 3 months ago and their struggle since, Obafemi and Mike Awesome get in each other's faces, exchanging hard chops, big boots off the ropes, and discus elbows. They clothesline each other to the outside, both landing on the apron. Awesome hits a release standing suplex on the apron to eliminate Obafemi, but Obafemi responds getting angry and power bombs Awesome down to the floor from the apron and then throws him into the stairs. Colt Cabana sneaks out from under the bottom rope, hops over the barricade, and hides in the crowd. John Morrison is the only person who sees him do this. He gets to the top rope and successfully jumps over to the barricade, holding on without hitting the floor. He pulls Cabana up from behind the barricade and tries to get him back to ringside. Colt Cabana panics and screams at first, but then grabs some nachos from a fan and throws them at Morrison's face. Morrison teeters on the edge of the barricade. Cabana tries to tap him to make him less balanced and then starts blowing on him, no diddy, like to make him fall over to the floor for his elimination. Eddie Kingston and Kevin Owens are both trying to take out Kane, but get into an argument with each other about how to do it and start brawling in the middle of the ring. Eddie hits with a discus lariat. Owens hits with a super kick and a pop-up powerbomb onto the apron, where Kingston crashes and falls to the outside. Chris Hero and Kevin Owens begin trying to tip Kane over the top rope. Kane chokeslams them. Clotheslines them both over the top, but they skin the cat and stabilize on the apron. Owens goes for a big boot, gets caught, chopped in the chest by Hero, and then hit with the KO, which is like the Cassius Ohno, basically arm smack elbow, knocking Owens to the floor. Chris Hero is immediately knocked off the apron by a running shoulder tackle from Batista. Batista turns around to a spine buster from Triple H. Kane hits H with a chokeslam. Batista tries setting Omega up for a Batista bomb, but gets hit with a glass jaw diving knee from Jack Perry. Perry then hits Batista with a pedigree as Triple H gets up in the corner to watch him do it. Batista crawls to the ropes, but Perry hits another glass jaw knee, knocking Batista over the top. Colt Cabana emerges from behind the barricade once again, tiptoes around the ring, and tries to sneakily roll in before immediately getting hit with a V-trigger and thrown out by Kenny Omega. Now a final four of Jack Perry, Triple H, Kenny Omega, and Kane are resting in their corners before Perry immediately rushes Triple H. Omega keeps evading Kane around the ring. Kane goes for a big boot on Omega. Omega ducks, and Kane gets stuck in the ropes. Omega hits a Snapdragon suplex, pulling him down to the mat. Kane gets up on the other side of the ropes before Omega hits a Flashman's Time Stopper, which is like a super dramatic enziguri kick, knocking Kane to the floor. Triple H is getting the better of Jack Perry in the fight, beating him down in the corner. Perry crawls between Triple H's legs over to Omega, begging Omega to help him. Omega hits Perry immediately with Kreutz Wrath, which is an electric chair German suplex on Perry, and then throws him back over to Triple H, who hits a pedigree and throws Perry out of the ring. Kenny Omega and Triple H stand face-to-face before having a test of strength, leading to a chop battle and exchange of their signature moves like the knee smash, V-trigger, spine buster, and Snapdragon suplex. Triple H goes for the pedigree setup that Omega reverses into a rain trigger, which is just the Rainmaker pull into a V-trigger. Omega then waits for him to use the rope to pull himself up, tunes up the band, and eliminates Triple H with a sweet chin music to win the Battle Royal. So that's the end of that match.
Wait, who won again?
Kenny Omega.
Okay.
So Kenny Omega used Shawn Michaels' Sweet Chin Music to eliminate Triple H.
Okay,
win.
that's what threw me off because you said he tuned up the band and then
Yeah. He was. So Kenny Omega was mocking Shawn Michaels because Shawn Michaels was watching at ringside.
Okay.
I think in the course of one match, you've just single-handedly got Book It canceled.
Book It canceled. What'd I do?
You know what you
What
did.
didn't you do?
Is it the
I
Eugene
feel like
thing?
you knocked off every box.
Well, I know the one thing you definitely
You
did.
he said you came at the special needs community. You came at the LGBTQ community. You came at everybody.
How the fuck did I do any of that?
And then you came at the African community when you came at homophobia.
So you're saying because they lost?
No, we'll talk about it off air. We'll bring it to the HR
Did I really say
offices.
something cancelable?
Eugene was definitely canceled.
Eugene
Well,
was
to be
definitely
fair,
cancelable.
the Eugene thing I actually had to do because of wheel spin. So all of my wheel spins are
Did you
in
have
that
to
match.
do it? Did you have to do it?
Yes,
twice?
I
It
have to have
wasn't you.
I have to have Eugene stutter through a promo to lose points. Yes, I had to do that. I also had to have.
Could have just
Bull
said he
Buchanan
stutters.
get injured to not
I
use
would
him, and then I also had to have Colt Cabana in a match to get extra bonus points to cancel out the Eugene.
Right. You could have just said he stuttered through the promo. We would have
Sorry, I
taken
wrote
your
the
word
promo
for
he
it.
stuttered through. I had to do the spot. Like
I would have taken it.
my
No,
wheel spin.
I'm not okay. I'm not mad at it since you rode the
because
wheel,
it was yes, because it
Yeah.
was
and
a
I
wheel
wasn't
spin.
mocking Eugene like Sean says here in the comments. Eugene stuttering fits the character. It's what they presented him back
It
as
wasn't.
back in the day.
Yeah,
John,
but that character.
It was your presentation of.
No,
fucking
it's just
coming.
that character.
That was just
Yeah.
2005 Eugene.
But I think everybody everybody else has used Eugene has been able to skirt it somehow.
I just didn't use that version of
Okay,
Eugene.
if you get a
Yeah,
wheel
exactly,
spin
that's
of
what I'm saying.
Eugene stutters through a promo, then you're just like, why don't I just do the actual Eugene we got back in the day? Because he stuttered through all of his fucking promos. I was like, it's not like I plan to use Eugene much or push him. Like I did my wheel spin, get it over with. Like
who's going first?
I don't care.
I'll start.
Okay.
3.5. I didn't think it was that bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought it was a little bit better than mid. I did like Kenny Omega finishing the way he did, kind of mocking Shawn Michaels and pushing that feud along because I feel like Kenny Omega versus Prime Shawn Michaels will be fire.
yeah, this is Cokehead Michaels.
Yeah, I was gonna say I figured it was. There was something else I wanted to say. You did lose a couple points. I didn't like the promo work on some of it. You did something in the beginning that I could. It was what was it you said?
Was it HB Shizzle?
It was HB Shizzle. It was.
He says that. I didn't make
no. You did. You said something savior that pissed me off too.
Oh, the showstopper become the show savior.
Yeah, I hated it. That's what you did.
Yeah, I saw your face when he said that. I'm like,
I was like,
ew.
Kenny hasn't done that in a while.
He just did it last.
I don't think that's true. He definitely did that a couple times during the mode show.
I was gonna say, yeah.
But yeah, so I'm at a 3.5. I think it's cool what we got. It's not great, the story, but I'm excited to see what you're gonna do with that match you got going. Now, hopefully you got a good match for us.
And it's up next, so
oh snap.
Yeah. I did not like the build. Like I didn't like most of the promos. Like I get what you're doing, where you were going with it. So I'm gonna give you a 3, like a solid, just straight 3.
All right, so I didn't like the promos, but I'm attributing it to writing skills rather than what they're actually saying.
Damn,
What? Damn.
Well, it's the same thing with mine.
I like your idea though.
No. It's the same thing with mine.
Crazy.
Hold on. No, it's the same thing with mine. Is the way I imagine it in my head, obviously when I write it down, it comes off way different when I present it. So I'm not holding that against you because it's what you wrote down, what you saw in your head.
Damn. He just
So
calls you
I'm not holding the style against you. I'm not holding the writing against you per se. So
Isn't that the whole point?
no, it's not. It's not because
I'm confused too, but I'm taking it.
I'm not. This isn't a creative writing or critical thinking podcast. That's not what this is. We've also got to remember that we're imagining what's happening and trying to interpret what's going on in somebody else's brain. That being said,
Here's the 2.
That being said, overall it was just I didn't really I was able to follow along. I feel like the presentation as far as Triple H and HBK was weird to me. I don't know, it felt off. I'm going to go with a 3.15.
Weird, but I like it. I was really hoping that Colt Cabana spot would get more love, but
I'm not that big of a fan. He was around when I didn't watch. Like his
Also, I
heyday
mean,
was
like,
when I watched.
I'm not
like,
saying
I
because
know
Colt
you-
Cabana
I know
himself.
you're
I'm
doing-
saying that I wrote Colt Cabana some cool shit in this. Like,
I know that you love Jack Perry because he's anti CM Punk, but he fell off in the final 4. I really rather have been like Oba Femi in the final 4 than Jack Perry.
Me too.
well,
Especially
sounds
when
like
you presented him.
sounds like you can't handle real glass.
I can't.
But
Damn it.
so that match goes immediately into Kenny Omega versus Shawn Michaels. As noted, Shawn Michaels wrestled the winner right afterwards. So Michaels slides in the ring immediately as the battle royal ends and hits a sweet chin music untuned. The bell rings as Michael attempts a pin for a close 2 count. Michaels is toying with and styling on Omega, spamming flying forearms, kip ups, and hitting him with a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Omega fights his way up, claps from the crowd, starting a boo-yay exchange before Omega hits a Hadouken palm strike, knocking Michaels down. Omega climbs up to the top, but Michaels rolls to the outside for a loud boo. Omega then hits a moonsault to the outside, reminiscent of Michaels himself. Michaels runs along the apron, jumps up to it, and then jumps up for a flying forearm, but Kenny Omega is ready and catches him and overhead tosses him to the announce table. Omega gets Michaels back in the ring and hits a Michinoku driver, attempting a pin for a close 2. Omega throws Michaels into the corner where he rolls up it, bounces back, and surprises Omega with a Canadian Destroyer. Instead of attempting a pin, he follows that with a sharpshooter that Omega breaks by rope break. Michaels climbs up to the top and hits his flying elbow for a 2 count. Omega goes for You Can't Escape, which is the standing Green Bay plunge into the springboard moonsault. But Michaels gets the knees up on the moonsault. Michaels locks in a figure 4 that Kenny Omega can't escape, wearing down his tired, previously injured legs, but Omega is able to turn him over and crawl for a rope break. Michaels tunes up the band, but instead of hitting sweet chin music, he kicks the back of Omega's injured knee and poses. He then goes for the actual super kick. Omega dodges, lifts him up for the one-winged angel. Michaels jumps down from that position and then hits a sweet chin music straight to the side of the head, and Michaels falls on him to pin him for the 1, 2, 3. And following the match, Michaels starts attacking Omega, stepping on his previously injured knee, telling Omega to write his retirement speech. The Young Bucks run out to try and save Omega, getting between Michaels and him. They help Kenny Omega to his knees after Shawn leaves the ring. But then, as Omega looks up, they see that the Young Bucks have not let go of his hands. And then they both hit Omega with the BTE trigger, knocking Omega out. They roll to the outside of the ring. They join Shawn Michaels on the entrance ramp, posing and flexing together with the closing shot.
That's about to be the zestiest dressing faction ever. All it needs is Seth Rollins. I think this was a great match in my opinion. My whole thing was I didn't like the build to the last match like that. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna calculate that. I'm gonna go with a 3.25 or 3.25 because it's all match for me. And like I said, especially with the carrying over from the end. Then I don't like the fact that he's fighting, so it's not going to be a 5-star match to me because he's coming off tired from the last match. Is he going to get like a rematch with him? Is that like a thing is going to be happening, or should we just wait?
Yeah. I mean, the Young Bucks turn, it's clearly a feud extender.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's not just we betrayed you and we're going with him and then we're going to do better, bigger and better things, and that's it with him.
Yeah, no, that's an extender for sure.
Okay.
So
3.25.
I'm gonna give you a 4 because I think it is a very good match. I do agree with the being tired part. I do think that faction does make sense in the turn. I would have actually given you a 5 if you just had Sean super kick him and win immediately.
No.
Hey, that would have been funny. Hey, you see the vision, Sean.
Oh, I loved it. I loved this is a complete turnaround from last. You get a 5 from me.
Let's go. That's that Coke Mike. There we go.
What?
All right.
Coke
We got Coke Michaels and Coke Mike. So between matches, Joey Styles says, I have a commentary intro for each match. Joey Styles says, this next match is between two men down on their luck and desperate for a victory. Miz says, the difference between these two men is that Hangman Page is not complacent, and he's shown that through his recent aggression. He's not okay with losing. I can't say the same for Johnny Gargano. So the first month following both of their big losses at Genesis, Hangman Page aggressively sought a rematch against Nick Nemeth, while Johnny Gargano accepted his defeat to Chris Sabin. Gargano told the crowd following this, I don't know where I go from here or how I work my way back up, but I will show up and I will give all of you fans my all until my body won't let me anymore. Win, lose, or draw, Johnny Wrestling always finds a way. Please don't give up on me just yet. Hangman went on to face Nemeth at that month's pay-per-view 2 months ago, where Hangman would break the losing streak and get his victory back over Nick Nemeth. Nemeth tweaked his ankle during the match, and Hangman attacked it brutally following the victory, first smashing it between like the folds of the chair and then against the ring post, and Nemeth had to be helped out of the building and later announced that he would need surgery. Nemeth said on Twitter that he's counting his days and he hopes Hangman is counting his. Following that pay-per-view, Hangman was gloating about this, saying, things are finally looking up for Adam Page. I showed the world that I am better than Nick Nemeth, and I did this business a favor by shortening his career. Now, I know what I am capable of, and I'm going to bring hell upon the PPW locker room, and they will feel the pain of my past misfortune. During this month, Gargano actually isn't seen on television until the final week, where he goes into Dan the Dad's office, asking why he hasn't had a match, and Dan tells him, Johnny, I'm so sorry. I truthfully forgot you were still here after your loss to Sabin. So now we're building up to the current month. This month's first episode of Drive features Hangman Page against a local talent. Hangman squashes the guy but continues the assault after the match, bloodying him. Hangman says, I'm in the business of ending careers, so unless anyone in that locker room wants to do something about it, this kid will be taking a mass transit home. Hangman grabs a chair and slides it into the ring before Johnny Gargano's music hits, and he runs down and scares Hangman away. The next week, Jonathan Coachman is backstage saying, I'm here at this time with someone who has not made any friends in the locker room in recent weeks. Please welcome Hangman Adam Page. Hangman, last week you put a hellacious beating on a local talent who was rescued by Johnny Gargano. What are your thoughts on that situation? Hangman says, honestly, Coach, I love it. I loved injuring Nick Nemeth. I loved beating up that local jobber. And I love that of all people, Johnny Failure has decided to step up. But that only leaves the question of why. And the why is this. I needed control. I needed power when I lost it. When I broke Nick Nemeth, I had the power. When I bloodied that 19-year-old kid last week, I had the power. When I faced a man who has lost everything, and I force him to rock bottom. I will have the power. Johnny Wrestling, I dearly look forward to seeing you soon. The following week, Johnny Gargano goes to the ring and says, Hangman Page stated last week that the reason for his recent behavior is a need for control, a need for power, that he had lost everything and he needed to regain that sense. See, Adam, if you had gone to therapy instead of being a dick in the locker room or attacking teenagers, you'd know that you've copied and pasted the textbook definition of a bully and made it your whole personality. None of the things that once made Hangman Page one of the coolest acts in wrestling still exist. If you, in your search for power and control, you lost your influence, you lost what made you special, and you lost your aura. Which might sound crazy coming from me right now, but I held on to one thing, and that is that I'm still the same Johnny Wrestling when times get tough. You can't say that, Hanger. So let's cut to the chase. I want to fight you, and I want to fight you this instant. So you can get your ass out to this ring, or I can go back there and find you. And you better make up your mind quickly. At that moment, a phone camera streams to the screen with Hangman's face saying, Oh, sorry, Johnny, I'm a little busy this week. As we get ready for Souled Out in Ohio, I thought I'd make a stop in Cleveland and visit a friend's house. Hangman goes up to a house, and Johnny Gargano runs out of the ring, indicating that it's his, as Hangman picks the lock. Hangman strolls into the house until running into Candice LeRae in the living room. She immediately tries to punch Hangman, but gets caught, and Hangman chokeslams her through the coffee table with one hand, still recording with the other. He says, Johnny, you have no clue the type of monster you're fucking with. Therapy wouldn't have done anything for me, and it damn sure won't save you. As the footage cuts off. On the final week of Drive before Souled Out, Hangman Page comes out to massive boos and says, You see, when I cared what you thought, I was considered a lovable loser. And now that I don't, I am an unstoppable monster. There is no length I won't go to make sure that everyone knows PPW is mine for the taking. Any match, any title, any amount of money, I will have it served to me on a goddamn silver platter, or you will face the consequences. I don't owe you fans, Nick Nemeth, or Johnny Gargano anything. In fact, he's cut off before Gargano rushes down to the ring faster than Hangman can leave. Hangman tries to slip through the ropes, but Gargano pulls him back by his shirt into the ring and starts raining down punches and knees to the side of the head before security breaks it up to let them fight chance. Dan the Dad comes out and says, Well, I'm no fool, and we know exactly where this is going. At Souled Out, this week, we will have Hangman Page versus Johnny Gargano one-on-one. So we get to the match, and Gargano starts the match by wailing on Hangman, backing him into corners and chasing him all around ringside and into the crowd. Hangman just can't escape Gargano. Hangman creates distance with an eye poke and then chokeslams Gargano onto the floor, reminding him of what he did to his wife. Hangman goes up to the apron and hits a shooting star press off of it. He then goes into the ring to gloat, waiting for the 10 count, but Gargano makes it in at 9. Hangman continues the assault with a bicycle kick and a cracker barrel, which is a cradle tombstone. Hangman goes for turn the page, but gets reversed into a Hertz donut, which are both arm trap STOs. Gargano hits the Elijah Express double knees in the corner and follows with one final beat, which is the slingshot DDT from the apron. 1, 2, Hangman survives. Gargano and Hangman each exchange a super kick. Hangman hits a spinning discus, bouncing Gargano off the ropes, who hits a spear. Gargano lifts Hangman up and hoists him for a lawn dart into the corner, but Hangman escapes and hits a rolling German suplex, then follows with a moonsault. Hangman goes to the apron to hit a buckshot lariat, but Gargano catches the arm and locks him in a Gargano escape. Hangman is able to claw his way to the rope for a quick rope break. Gargano will hit a step-up enziguri before getting in the Canadian Destroyer position, but Hangman will low blow him in a way that the ref doesn't see. This puts Hangman to lift Gargano up by his legs and reverse this with a dead eye, pinning him for the 1, 2, 3. And Paige chokeslammed initially. Sean, he had chokeslammed Candice LeRae through the coffee table in Gargano's living room, and then during the match, he also did it to Gargano at ringside, like onto the floor.
Who wants to go first?
All right.
Go ahead, Kenny.
This one, I'm not gonna lie, this was filler. This was filler to me. I wasn't that invested in this one. I'll go with the match was okay. Like I said, Bill was so I'm at a 2.25 for this one.
All right.
So I will say I wish that we got more in the match. I feel like it was a very good match, but I feel like it could have been a great match. I disagree about it being filler. I really like the build. I love a home invasion. I love my heels to commit
Gotta
felony.
have a home invasion.
Gotta have a home invasion. Felonies. If you're a heel, I expect a felony. I'm gonna give you a 4.9. A 4.9.
I'll take that any day.
I absolutely love the chaos. I think that was great. Again, I also love the home invasion. I'm a fan of the felony. I'm giving you a 5.
Let's go. I love this week, Mike. And you know what? This week, Damone's I too. Can you do better?
He wants to play.
He want me to do better. I'm grading you.
That's why I tell the teacher that you do better.
You do better. All right.
You'll be surprised how often that fucking happens.
I mean, not surprised.
Yeah, not really.
Even Sean saying he's a hater today. Do better.
I hope Mike Knox interrupts this like he's to interrupt Kelly Kelly.
That'd be wild.
I'm just messing
So
with you.
The Miz says on commentary, I'm looking forward to this next match. It's like a car crash that you just kind of got to glance at and can't turn away from fully. Two guys with no regard for their own bodies, as we could tell by looking at them. Joey Styles says, my favorite type of match, hardcore rules. So after Darby Disaster won the Vanguard title at Genesis, Killer Kelly won an opportunity for a title match, and the others came up empty-handed. Chris Sabin called an emergency meeting with the Sabinists. Sabin says Darby is his new number one friend, as birds of a feather fly together as they clank their belts. He tells Kelly that everything hinges on her title match, and he tells AJ, Shannon, and TJ that since they're all on the back of the line, they can either bulk up for a heavyweight title shot, or they can ensure that Chris and Darby retain at all costs. At that month's pay-per-view, they helped Chris Sabin defeat, Chris Catastrophe. They all got renamed. They helped Chris defeat Josh Alexander, and they helped Darby Disaster defeat Super Crazy, but they do fail to help Killer Kelly beat Abaddon due to her fearful presence, landing all four of them in bad standing with Chris Catastrophe. I can't remember. Did I forget? Was it Calamity or Catastrophe? I don't fucking know. These emo names are tripping me up. I don't even remember my own canon. I'm cooked. If I'm wrong about that, y'all can take off a nickel or something.
I wrote the same. Don't forget, I wrote a team in one paragraph, 2 different names, and you couldn't remember which one it was. You're good.
Well, that a whole pay-per-view name change.
I'm just like, I know it was Calamity or Catastrophe, but I didn't look up at the previous pay-per-view to see. So the next month, things remain mostly the same, except AJ Agony is constantly eating and drinking protein shakes. Shannon and Killer Kelly help Chris defeat Orange Cassidy in his world title match, while AJ and TJ help Darby defeat Chris Hero.
For a second, I'm like Shannon Sharp, and I remember it's Shannon Moore.
Shannon Sorrow, baby. So this month, Chris and Darby are celebrating their wins without the others in the group, and Darby says, being champion is fun, and I love having such loyal friends help me, but I can't help but feel like I'm not being challenged. Chris, I live for the thrill. So next defense, I know who I want to face, and I know that I don't want any help. Chris says, I love the confidence, Darby. I really do. But if you fail, you're risking all of this. Is that something you're really willing to give up for a challenge? Think about that. And then he walks away. The next week, Darby Disaster is cutting a promo alone saying, I'm sure everyone is wondering who I picked out to give me the challenge that I need for this here belt. And I'll give you a couple of hints. First, this guy's as batshit insane as I am. Secondly, he has not yet made his PPW debut. And I'll be making some calls over the next couple of weeks to ensure that I get the match and the monster that I want. The next week, a short vignette is shown of Darby on the phone saying, yeah, don't worry about money. Whatever you need, I'll get it covered. I know he'll love this match. Yeah, of course. It's hardcore rules. He'll be all about it. Just make sure he makes it here in one piece, okay? Cool. Bye. On the go-home show, Chris is seen approaching Darby and says, what the hell, man? You can make a phone call on national TV but can't text back for 3 weeks? Darby says, listen, Chris, I just needed to get in the right headspace for this match. I feel like it's you who doesn't understand the risk that I'm taking. I could rise to the mountaintop and plant the Sabanist flag, or I could plunge into the abyss, and walks away. So we're back to the pay-per-view. Darby comes out first, and after a long pause, the music of the monster Abyss plays. The crowd erupts as James Mitchell walks him to the ring in hand shackles. Darby has a sick smile on his face. Once Abyss is unshackled, the match begins. Darby and Abyss immediately go to the outside and start clearing the bottom of the ring, throwing weapons into it, and then run back in. Darby hits Abyss with a nasty, unprotected chair shot to the head, and Abyss doesn't budge. Abyss folds up and crams Darby into a metal trash can and throws that trash can outside of the ring toward the announce table. Abyss then follows to the outside and he pours a bag of tacks into the trash can Darby's in. He climbs up to the apron and elbow drops it, folding Darby in there more with all the tacks. Darby gets out of the trash can with his back and stomach bleeding. He grabs a skate deck and he does a Van Daminator to Abyss into the ring from the top rope. Darby sets up a barbed wire plywood into the corner, leaning up against it, and it takes 3 front drop kicks to knock Abyss's back into the barbed wire, where Abyss screams, shaking in pain. Darby takes advantage of Abyss being down, and he sets up both a table and a ladder in the corner. The table's in the middle of the ring, ladder in the corner to clarify. And then he grabs a Singapore cane from the pile of weapons, and he grabs a lighter from his pocket, and Darby lights the end of the Singapore cane on fire and whacks Abyss in the top of the head, knocking him onto the table. Darby then climbs the ladder and coffin drops off of it, but Abyss moves out of the way, letting Darby crash straight to the floor. Abyss lays down flat the barbed wire plywood and hits a black hole slam and attempts a pin. 1, 2, Darby is able to kick out, and Abyss is beside himself. Abyss then repeatedly slams Darby's head into the mat until his face starts to bleed. And he's down stomach first, and he then puts the barbed wire plywood where the barbed wire is on top of Darby's back. And then Abyss does a rare feat, climbing to the top rope, and he jumps backwards for a coffin drop, adding 300 pounds of pressure, pushing the barbed wire into the skin of Darby's back. And then after he hits that jaw-dropping move, he folds Darby back over for a pin. 1, 2, 3. Abyss wins the PPW Vanguard Championship in his PPW debut. Damn,
Yeah,
Travis
that was
popping up to
really-
say this match gross. Made his
So, John,
stomach hurt.
I was ready to give you a 5, but then the end happened. I think the wrong person won. I think Darby should have retained. And I don't like that Abyss won with a coffin drop. Like I feel like you should have just had Abyss use his own moveset, his own finisher to win the match. Or if you were gonna have him like jump off, just have him do like a splash or something. So I'm gonna give you a 4.5 though.
Okay.
I love the ultimate disrespect of using somebody's own finisher on them to win the match.
And I did it for the brutality's sake, because Abyss's size
Right.
just 300-pound big back slamming that barbed wire into your back. Ugh.
And I think it could also work as fuel to further some sort of rivalry. So I don't think
Travis
this
said,
is the
"Fuck this week, Timon."
I don't think this is the end. I'm gonna go with Damone. What'd you give it?
A 4.5.
4.65.
I hate.
And
Three.
Travis says Abyss in
I
your
hate
coffin drop is better
74
than
men.
Darby.
I mean, I was gonna give it a 5, but I thought about it a little more, and 4.65 is fair.
Sean Paul with the 4.75. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm at a 4.5 as well. I think this is really good. I think this is honestly the best part of the show so far to me.
I really like the
Appreciate
build
that.
too.
I think you have opportunity to do more with it.
I
think
do
the
agree with that.
opportunity's there. I think that it was for what it was. I liked it. It wasn't right at a 5 yet, though, and I think you have opportunity.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for. Is I'm trying to, kind of keep the setups and the payoffs coming. So trying to put together some pieces, get some things y'all excited for. So appreciate that. All right. So, the commentaries. We're back to commentary, and he said, Joey Styles says, as we get the ring cleaned up, we present to you something a little more lighthearted. Miz says, here we have two tag teams that have come together under weird circumstances, and honestly, they just keep getting weirder. So 3 months ago, after the Blazing Bros, RVD and Matt Riddle got on Jimmy Wang Yang's party bus after their match at Genesis, they have a new friend and newfound confidence. They started coming out in little cowboy hats and winning more matches. Following a win over the Bollywood Boys, Riddle gets on the mic and says, well, it appears after meeting bro Jimmy on the party bus, we found what we really need. Jimmy has not just motivated us with his country wisdom, but he's brought Rob and I closer together. Rob says, and if you haven't noticed, we were never pinned by the wall of pain, and we haven't lost a match since. So Grayson, since I know you got Mark Henry's balls in your fanny pack, why don't you come on out here and give us another title shot? Grayson Waller comes out and says, no, no, no. When you lost, you went to the back of the line. And bad Australian accent didn't come and say what you're going to say. But how about this? The tag team division is looking a little barren as of late. And
Just don't do the accent. Just
I'm
do it
finishing
yourself.
the
No,
with
keep
the
doing it.
No,
Keep
do the
doing it.
accent.
It's
No,
like Cockney
doing
and then
going.
like
Keep
South
going.
African and then
No,
kind of
do the accent. Do the accent.
Keep going.
Do the
We
roar.
like effort here. We like effort here. Keep going.
Do the roar.
And you guys with your little yee-yees and giddy-ups and bros, you guys are having some fun. And you're
Stop,
entertaining the crowd.
Oh, bros.
So we'll take this month off of PPW pay-per-view, and we will host a round-robin tournament for the next month. If you can keep winning, you can maybe face us one more time.
Hey, say
next
round
month-
robin one more time. Say round robin.
Round robin.
can you say
the next-
kangaroo?
Say bro.
Kangaroo.
Say
bro.
that's not a knife. This is a knife.
Nice. That's not a knife. The next month sees 4 teams: Blazing Saddles, formerly the Blazing Bros, the Hardys, the Young Bucks, and the Creed Brothers, wrestling in various combinations each week. Since forming Blazing Saddles with Jimmy Wang Yang, Riddle and RVD are on a huge roll. They don't lose a single match in the tournament. Their chemistry is too perfect, and they celebrate each win with a little saddle dance. If you ever seen like they jump on it dance where they jump around and do the fucking saddle, they celebrate each win with a little saddle dance that catches on with the crowd. With it now being established, after Blazing Saddles winning the tournament, that they'll face the Wall of Pain in 1 month at Souled Out, Waller is clearly getting scared. Waller sends Henry on a mission to go onto the Blazing bus and take them all out. Later that night, Henry returns to Waller looking happy and with brighter red eyes. Waller says, oh, you reek! What in the blue hell happened on that bus? Did you at least hurt one of them before you got hotboxed? Henry says, sorry, Grayson. I got there and it was just too much fun. I'm gonna have to attack them from somewhere else. and starts laughing as he walks away. The next week, Blazing Saddles are seen on their party bus, and Jimmy says, "Don't you think it's a little weird that Mark Henry came on the bus last week?" Riddle says, "No, bro. Who wouldn't want to come party with us and get away from a dork like Grayson Waller?" Rob says, "Well, I think they have something else planned, so if we leave the bus, we gotta stick together, bro." And Riddle says, "You always have my back, bro. That's why I love you. Anyways, we need to go get more snacks. Let's go to the store." So later in the show, the camera follows right after this, Waller and Henry are seen watching this on the TV, and Waller says, "We got to go follow him. Go, go, go." Later in the show, Blazing Saddles are seen in the grocery store, but notice the wall of pain following them around. So they start sneaking and hiding around the grocery store. Waller and Henry start chasing Rob and Riddle until Jimmy drops gallons of milk in front of them, making Henry topple over Waller in a mess, with Riddle yelling, "Clean up on aisle 4, bro," as they run out of the store. So it's like a Scooby-Doo like chase scene. They're like throwing food. They're hiding from each other. The next week, Waller and Henry are in the locker room, and Waller is furious. He says, "God damn it, they got our number. It's all crashing down. Mark, for the love of God, I need you to get serious. You've got to take out the cowboy. He's made them too smart. And don't let Jimmy Wang Yang leave this building unscathed." Later that night, Mark Henry is seen setting a can of dip on the ground and hiding behind some boxes. Jimmy walks by, says, "Well, if it ain't my lucky day, yeah." Henry comes barreling towards Jimmy, but Jimmy moves just in time, causing Mark Henry to crash through the drywall, falling to the floor. Rob and Riddle meet up with Jimmy right after this and say, "See you later, bro, Mark." And Waller sees Henry in the rubble of the drywall, says, "Back to the drawing board." On the go-home show, Blazing Saddles are seen on the party bus, but the lights aren't working, as usual. Jimmy keeps trying to start the bus, but it won't turn over. He says, "Well, we're going to have to tow this thing out to a shop. Party's on hold." And Rob says, "Well, that's okay. The party's in here," and points to his heart. Riddle says, "Right on, bro." Immediately afterwards, the glass of the windows gets broken as seen from the inside. Riddle screams and immediately starts holding his eye. Jimmy runs out and gets military pressed onto the pavement by Mark Henry. Rob Van Dam runs out and drops Waller with a punch, but gets belly to belly onto the hood of a car by Mark Henry. The wall of pain stand tall over a battered Blazing Saddles and a broken party bus. So we get to the show, and the Blazing Bros make their entrance into a repaired party bus, but the windows are still not replaced yet. So there's no windows in the party bus, but everything else still works. Riddle comes out of the party bus wearing an eye patch. Rob is visibly limping as well from being thrown at the car. So for the spots, RVD and Mark Henry start the match. Henry is getting all the offense, tossing him into the corner, and him and Waller keep tagging in and out, landing chops to the chest, toying with RVD. Grayson gets tagged in, but Rob monkey flips Grayson away from their corner and follows up with a handspring moonsault to turn the tide. Rob grabs Grayson Waller's arm, kicks him in the chest 3 times, and hits the spinning jump kick. He goes for the rolling thunder, but Mark Henry pulls Grayson Waller to the outside of the ring. Rob then runs off the ropes and front flips over the top rope onto both of them. And as everybody's starting to get up from that, Riddle climbs to the top rope and hits a floating bro into the pile. As order is restored, Grayson is able to isolate RVD in the corner again. He tags Henry in and hits the front flip on Prettier, followed by a big splash from Mark Henry. Riddle is barely able to break up the pin. Henry punches Riddle in the bad eye, knocking him off the apron. Mark Henry does a big swing onto RVD into a front drop kick from Waller. Waller climbs up top and starts to climb onto Mark Henry's shoulders for their tag team finish, where he hits the between the legs elbow off of Mark Henry. But RVD slides into a spinning leg sweep, making them both crash down. RVD is able to use this momentum to get the hot tag to Riddle. Riddle runs in, gets a bicycle kick on Henry, and clotheslines him over the top rope, leaving him alone with Waller, who's backed into a corner. Riddle then hits a rolling senton into the corner, pulls him out, and then hits a back jumping senton and attempts to pin for a close 2. Henry gets back up to the apron, but Riddle gets on all fours for RVD to jump off his back and hit a crossbody, knocking them both to the floor, leaving just Riddle and Waller again. Waller tries to beg for a timeout and back away, but Riddle picks him up for a bro Derek and pins him to a 1, 2, 3, and the crowd erupts. Blazing Saddles are your new tag team champions. Jimmy, Rob, and Matt are doing their saddle dance with the belts. They have a big group hug, but then Riddle grabs Rob by the side of his face and gives him a quick kiss on the lips, leaving Rob flabbergasted. Before they get a moment to digest that, a strange video comes on the screen of a dark gym. 2 barbells with multiple plates drop to the floor at the same time. And then some light sirens play before the video comes to the end, and everybody in the ring is looking confused as hell after what just happened in the last 10 seconds.
So I'm trying to think who the tag team could be. Probably be the Steiner brothers. Or some kind of mixture. I'm going with a 4, a solid 4. I want to see where this goes. I do like the tag teams that are presented, and it was funny. Like some stuff was really wacky. It was a really wacky storyline, but it was funny. It served its purpose.
I got a 4 from Kenny with some Teas of June people in it.
I'm an ally. What can I say?
Kenny's beating the allegations today.
Yeah, he donated. Remember?
Yeah, y'all keep forgetting.
You know what? It's not quite cowboy shit, but I do like Blazing Saddles. You know, they hate but they copy. So I'm gonna give you a 5. I really like the build. It was goofy and silly, like, but with the tag teams you were using, like, you kind of expect it. And the match was really good, and I like the tease. My guess is that it's Scott Steiner and Braun Breaker is the team. Or maybe Jordan Grace. Maybe you get wacky with it and make it a combination of the two.
Sean says the grocery store part was nice, but it's not topping Austin and Booker. That is hard to beat.
Well, yeah.
I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm gonna go 4.5.
I'll take that any day. All right, and this will be my final match because I'm splitting this pay-per-view in 2. So I'm gonna have like 6 and 5, 6 and 6. It's a little bit longer of a show. So this will be my final match, and then we'll have
End
part
of
2.
night 1.
End of night 1, yeah. Well, it's in the canon of the show. It's not night 1, night 2. It's just it's an AEW pay-per-view. So for the podcast's sake, I am doing it in half.
This is where I would turn off the AEW pay-per-view because it should be too long. I gotta go to bed, Tony Khan. I work.
So the Miz says on commentary, well, I don't know what that was, but I can tell you what's next. A blood feud between 2 titans. Joey Styles says, that's right. Wardlow faces the consequences for his actions finally, as Hernandez will get his hands on him. As stated in the Genesis build, Wardlow won the PPW Heavyweight Championship from Hernandez the month prior, but injured him during the match and aggravated it afterwards. With Hernandez on the shelf, Wardlow got cocky and was a locker room cancer until Batista stepped up to him. However, due to the nature of the elimination match at Genesis, Batista was bested by Wardlow. Batista did not hesitate to remind Wardlow that he still has yet to beat him one-on-one and doesn't think Wardlow can. Wardlow says that he has no reason to give Batista another match for the title until Dan the Dad says that if Batista can beat Wardlow in a non-title match, he'll be granted a title match at the next pay-per-view, where Batista does defeat Wardlow in the non-title match. The following month, the feud between Wardlow and Batista gets more personal, with Wardlow bringing up Batista's marriage issues, MMA career, and mental health struggles. Batista tries to fight Wardlow repeatedly, but Wardlow runs away each time. Batista calls Wardlow out for always having to ride coattails to make a name for himself. He says that in and of himself, Wardlow is nothing more than a glorified bodyguard, and this title run will be the last he has in any company. The two have their match, and Wardlow cheats using a chair while the ref is knocked down. After Wardlow wins this match, he's hitting Batista's knees with the chair similar to how he did Hernandez, until Hernandez's music hits and he comes back after 3 months, flying into the ring with a big clothesline. He gets up and he gets Wardlow in position for a border toss before Wardlow scurries away. The The first show of the month promotes the return of Hernandez and lets him speak for the first time in months.
Don't do this accent.
I'm not.
Do it.
For some reason, sorry, I'm stuttering because I keep typing Wardlow for every person in this feud. I was like, no, half of this is fucking Hernandez, not Wardlow. And Hernandez says, it feels great to be back with all you amazing fans, but there's no time for celebration. My business is unfinished as long as Wardlow runs around parading my title, making the strongest division in wrestling look like kukas. So tonight, and that means pussies, by the way. So tonight, I make myself clear when I state, whether Wardlow not likes it or not, he will face me at Souled Out, or I will chase him around every arena, making his life a living hell. Wardlow comes out, interrupts this promo saying, Hernandez, I don't fear you. I was hoping you'd want this match. I have proven time and time again that I'm the best heavyweight that this company has to offer. I can beat legends. I can beat 3 guys at once. It doesn't matter what you throw at me. Beating you removes all doubt from my mind and from all of these ignorant fans' minds. So, Hernandez, my only challenge to you is just try not to buckle a knee again, okay? And then he walks off and ends the promo. The following week, Wardlow attempts to attack Hernandez from behind backstage, but Hernandez is ready for it, and he runs Wardlow off. Hernandez is yelling as they're pulled apart, Ay, cabron, you have confirmed what everybody already knows. You're scared. You know your time is up, and if you can catch me face to face, I'll show everybody. I wrote that weird, sorry. Had a typo in it. It tripped me up. The next week, Jonathan Coachman is backstage and says, I'm here at this time with your PPW heavyweight champion, Wardlow. Wardlow, last week, Hernandez says that you're scared, and he didn't look to be too far off on that assessment. What are your thoughts on that situation? Wardlow says, I am not scared of Hernandez. I'm simply smarter than him. I've got him all worked up, running around on his bum knee before he ever needed to. He's emotional. He's immature. He's reckless. I, however, am calculated and cold. I will use these weaknesses to beat Wardlow again and hold this title forever. Hernandez walks up to Wardlow and says, I can see your lip quivering, White. You know you're in too deep. Keep running that mouth, though. And condescendingly pats him on the shoulder. On the go-home show, Hernandez has his first televised match to warm up for Souled Out, facing a very game Iron Sheik. Sheik makes him work for it, but in the end, he ends up where most of Hernandez's foes do, in the air for a border toss. But before he can hit it, Wardlow slides into the ring and hits a chop block on the bad knee. He stomps on it some more before hitting a few statement power bombs and standing over it. So now we get to the match. Hernandez repeatedly turns Wardlow inside out to start the match with clothesline from hell and multiple flying shoulder tackles. Wardlow slides out of the ring and runs away in frustration, but Hernandez flies over the top rope with a suicide dive, crashing him into the barricade. Hernandez controls the match early with big boots, the 10 punches in the corner, and a pump handle slam for a 2 count. Wardlow gets back in the match with a snap spine buster and a rolling senton. He climbs to the top rope for assumedly a swanton attempt, but he gets superplexed by Hernandez. Wardlow takes back control. He hits 3 chained sidewalk slam backbreakers and poses to the crowd. Wardlow then decides to mock Hernandez, and he hits the LAX pose, and then he hits Hernandez with Homicide's Gringo Killa. Hernandez fights his way out of a long camel clutch from Wardlow, backing him into a corner in an electric chair drop position, hitting with multiple swinging back elbows, and then hitting him with a nasty flapjack out of the corner. Hernandez sets Wardlow up for the border toss, but Wardlow is able to get loose. He then hoists Hernandez up in powerbomb position, but Hernandez is able to roll backwards and hoist Wardlow back up for a border toss, reversal, throw him across the ring, and pin him with a big show. 1, 2, 3. Hernandez is once again PPW heavyweight champion.
Big Show's on my show, though.
No, not actual Big Show. He puts on a big show while he pins him.
I know. It was a joke. It was a bad joke.
I'm using your roster anyway, so fuck you.
Yeah, you are. You stole 305 Live.
It's not 305 live. It's a heavyweight division. The
That
minimum
sounds like
weight
305 live to
nope,
me.
minimum weight is 240. Minimum weight is 240. We use
240
SmackDown
live.
Yeah, we use SmackDown versus Raw weight classes here.
240 live don't have the same ring to it.
That's because we don't call
You're
it
right.
240 live. That's why it's just the fucking heavyweight division.
So I like this slot. I think the right person definitely won. I think Hernandez winning makes sense. I'm gonna give this. I think the match is really good. I don't really have any complaints, so I'm gonna give you a 5.
Let's go.
I really liked it.
I'm not at a 5. I didn't really. This one was kind of. I mean, I wasn't really feeling this one as much. I'm gonna go 3.75.
I'll take that.
It's no Big Show versus Indies Brock Lesnar, but
Yeah, we didn't get Indies Hernandez.
although I realized I don't know what Hernandez's voice sounds like. Like as
I
you were
don't
doing
really
the
either. He
promo,
doesn't talk much.
as you were doing the promo, I was like, "What does Hernandez sound like?" Because like I
Hey.
remember when he was getting built up and like he was super popular, but I don't remember a promo. I don't remember him talking.
He doesn't need it. The border toss is so fucking sick. Who needs it? like I've been showing a friend like past TNA, and his two favorites are like Prime Samoa Joe and Hernandez, just because like they fuck.
Well, usually
like,
it
in
was
ring,
either Conan talking or occasionally
Homicide would do like the brah, like
yeah. But like I don't remember what Hernandez sounds like.
I think I might. Once I get to like 2009 TNA and they start the singles push, I'll let you know.
All right, Kenny. I think it's just you.
Okay,
Yep.
so I was gonna say I'm at a 3.5 myself. I think the build was kind of mid, but the match was fire. So that's where I'm at with this. So I think that 3.5 is the best way to do it.
Appreciate that. Thank you. And Sean said it was a 5-star classic, so I appreciate you in the comments. And that concludes part 1. Like I said, this is an AEW pay-per-view, so it's too long to explain in podcast form the whole way through. So we will continue on next week with PPW Souled Out part 2. Sorry I travested y'all. But let's talk about where we can find our cast members.
No. If you Travis us, it would have been 6 more matches this night, and then 18 matches next week.
Yeah, it would have been
We'd be on
10 and
match 3
10.
right
I'm
now.
not going to slander him like that because he's rating my show right now. So
Yeah, we would be on match 3 right now.
right.
Just getting started.
yeah, we'd be on his pre-intro. But let's hear where our cast members can be found. I'm gonna start with Bad Guy because he's got 27 shows.
You can catch me on all social medias at Bad Guy Spoken. You can catch the Bad Guy Spoken podcast on YouTube's, and you can also catch Hood Movie Review.
You didn't
Which
sing the song.
is-
I was ready to harmonize. Sing that shit.
Hood Movie Review. Review all your favorite, not so favorite Hood movies. Hoodlum is coming next, so be on the lookout for that. And you can catch Unbiased. You'll see TK throw the little U. And you can also catch Geek on the sheets where we talk about everything nerdy, like anime, Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. We talk about it all. And last but not least, you can also catch Not a Real Court, where we debate everything. We talk about, the favorite, sitcom dads, favorite fruit, whatever it is, we're going to argue about it.
Hell yeah. D-Money, where can they find you?
You can also catch Kenny Lacken in NCAA. You can find me on everything at DumbMoneyT13. So it's DAMONEYT13.
He did just catch me lacking just now. I said, "Oh, okay, like that's how you feel."
You can't find me anywhere. It's
Hey.
fuck Twitter, and that was the last thing I had that was public.
Yeah. Also fuck Twitter, but if you want to talk wrestling with me sometime, you can join the Reach for the Ropes Wrestling Discussion Facebook group, where we have various threads about various things. And we plug this podcast there pretty often. And they also do the Reach for the Ropes Twitch streams where they have like a 2K Universe mode. Primetime Travi T and D Money do commentary there. So you can catch them doing that. With that said, That's been another great episode of Book It. Oh, yeah. Don't forget to buy our shirts and support all our shows at t13media.com. It's been an episode of Book It. See ya.
Bye.